This is AI Marketing Experts, where bold marketers and next-gen AI collide. Each week, join us as we decode trends, test tools, and share real wins from the AI-powered front lines. No fluff, no hype, just straight talk and smarter marketing. Tap subscribe and let's geek out on AI.
Well, howdy everyone, and welcome to the AI Marketing Experts show. My name is Chris Hunter, and I am the Chief Marketing Officer of Roofer Marketing Heroes. I'm also the author of the Ultimate Guide to Digital Marketing for Roofers. That's not what we're here to talk about today, though. I'm joined here with Brad, John, and Jen. Thanks so much for joining us again. Of course, you're the hosts or co-hosts, whatever. But we're going to talk about a lot of things today about what's going on in the AI industry, like we always do. But we're going to do a little bit different thing here today, and we're going to talk about all of the AI models and really just kind of compare and contrast them and where they're at now compared to where they were, let's say, at the beginning of the year of 2025. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. And who's got something that they want to share?
I think John is just dying to tell us the latest and greatest.
I sit here quietly because I got beat up before we went live on the air, everybody, just so you know. So all good. But no, so the biggest issue so we were talking in the background about over the last week or two about people we know, friends we know that think AI and Microsoft Copilot is the thing, is what AI, they're just all the same as Copilot. And us going in and going, well, I tried Copilot. Holy crap, that's garbage. Why it's garbage, we don't know. Like, Brad mentions on a regular basis, that, and Chris was like, we talk about why, on Apple phones and Siri and all that kind of stuff haven't figured out their AI yet. Like, how can they be that far behind? We talked recently about how Google jumps so far ahead because there's this war between, Google Gemini 3 versus OpenAI's new 5.2 now. And, Anthropic, we got Opus 4.1. I love Grok for some things that I do, like because Grok 4 is like, holy crap, it's insanely good. But so that's the war we're talking about, is how do you pick your poison? How do you play with it? And then Jen chimed in and said, is it the model, or is it the model needs better prompting? And then we went down another rabbit hole. So those are the rabbit holes we're going to kind of go down with, talk amongst ourselves for your viewing pleasure and listening pleasure. But that's the idea, is that there is models that are different that can do amazing things, and they're getting better and better and better. Video, you got Sora 2 versus VO 3, I guess it is, or whatever, and all of those kinds of things as well. So yeah, just to kind of open it up that way is, is it the models? Is it the prompting? Is it, the platforms? Some of them are just way behind and are gearing to jump ahead like Google did, or what do you guys think?
So I'll jump in and I'll talk through Copilot right now because Microsoft is so far behind on AI. I think that I read this week that they fired their guy that was in charge of AI.
Okay.
They're really far behind, which is super surprising for Microsoft, right? And yes and no. I mean, Microsoft has always been they're not been one on the very forefront edge of absolutely everything, right? They were claimed to have stolen the Windows from Apple, way back in the day, 20, 30 years ago. Or at least the idea of a graphical user interface for Windows, right? And what we know now as computers. Okay. But for them to be this far behind in the AI race here is just super, super surprising to me. They were even they invested quite heavily into OpenAI, right?
Yeah.
But they have OpenAI to use with Copilot. But what I'm finding when I try to go use Copilot in anything, right? And they just re-released a whole bunch of slew of stuff in all of the Office products and is forcing it down our throats, okay? Which is typical Microsoft. But it's useless. I literally can't even get it to do anything whatsoever inside of Excel or inside of Word or inside of. I asked it the other day how to do something inside of PowerPoint, and the instructions that it gave me didn't even match the interface for its own thing. So it's like, what use are you? And then to top it off, what I would expect in Outlook for it to be able to do some agentic type stuff like inbox zero or replies to emails, it will not do that. It makes it to where I have to copy and paste the darn thing from Copilot into the window, which is like, well, what's the difference between using this in ChatGPT or Claude or anything else that honestly is way better? Because guess what? I can train it, all of those models on me. So,
yeah.
So Copilot is just, it doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever what Microsoft is forcing down everyone's throats. Now, on top of that, Windows 11 nowadays, right, they're forcing it even further and further into it, so much so that they got a little bit of pushback on that, I believe last week, where people were complaining about it, and all these antitrust suits are going out and all that kind of stuff. So it's just their treatment of their own software is just, it boggles my mind. It just absolutely boggles my mind how horrible that it actually is.
I have had that exact same experience with Copilot, and I don't understand why it's not trained a bit better on their own hardware, software, all of the above. I'm not a Microsoft user. I'm a loyal Mac fan, and I was working on my mother-in-law's new laptop. It's Windows. Copilot was right there at the very bottom, and so I thought, I'll just use Copilot here. It's a Microsoft, a product. It's included in this new Windows laptop. I'm sure it'll make this whole experience way easier. And instead, I ended up swearing profusely at it, and then it called me Pam, thinking it was my mother-in-law. So, sorry, Pam. But terrible experience.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm getting a visual here of Jen swearing at.
Seems to be a theme that comes up on our podcast on a regular basis, doesn't it? So right. I didn't even have to introduce it this week.
So one thing that comes to mind for me as we kind of do our year-end roundup or review of how things have changed and where they might be going is I've just stayed away from Copilot mainly because you all have said, and what little bit of what I've looked at it, it's like there's too many other powerful tools. It seems like we went down this road maybe even at the beginning of this year, I don't remember exactly how long, with the Google products, and we're like, oh, these are not good. But they are on a victory lap right now in my mind because with Gemini 3 and all the pieces that fit together there. Obviously, they have their, they're all their Google products already with Sheets and Docs and Google LM or Notebook LM and all these other pieces in there. They're really, in my mind, ahead of so many of them. And so they've made huge strides. And of course, Google in general has had such the market share to begin with anyway. So it's in their best interest to be doing what they're doing. So I think they're doing a lot of things right. However, just last night, I was doing some things where I think some of us already do, maybe definitely some of us that are more AI savvy, is when I'm trying to solve a problem or I'm trying to create something, then I'm literally saying, okay, what does Gemini have to say? Well, okay, I don't know if I like those results. Let's go over to Perplexity Comet. It has its own browser now. I go in there, I get some pretty good information. I'm like, gosh, I was hoping for something better. Then I go over to GenSpark's browser, which I've always liked, and I go in there, and it's like, boom, it created what I was looking for really quickly. And I noticed in there, and I'm hoping it's not a typo, it said something in there in GenSpark last night that said on my paid plan, which is about $24 a month, I now get unlimited video creation through some of the ones that John mentioned, VO3, Sora, Kling, what was the just some of these really typically expensive ones or credit heavy ones if you're using them somewhere else to create video. So I'm like, well, gosh, it said till the end of 2026. So I'm hoping that's not a typo, because that's a year away that I could get essentially video creation included in my subscription, because I know some of the other ones I've used, typically, you're on a credit system of some sort. I really like some of these bigger video models, VO3 being that it's a Google product. It's super powerful. And I don't know if it's 3.1 or whatever it is these days, but it's powerful. And, and some of them now too, whether it's video creation, content creation, image creation, or automation, whatever you're using, have a tool in there or a mechanism in there to refine your prompt. Because I know that so many of us, we try to give it a good prompt, and it could probably be so much better. And there's lots of different ways you can improve your prompts. But now a lot of them are having things built in there that have a little button that say prompt improver or whatever it's called. So maybe you guys have a little more experience on some of those features. But I'm just blown away. I mean, I'd have to really stop and think about where things were this time last year. I was also looking, I think, in my notes that I've been on ChatGPT, for example, for 3 years now. And it's like, think of how far that's come in that long. Nobody heard of it really 3 years ago. Some of us tech nerds were on it, but there's just so many changes. So I'm kind of excited about our episode today, where we can kind of go through and talk about some of these really cool changes and features.
Well, I've got a list of prompt refiners that I've used, some that my team has brought to me that they're using and stuff like that. Because I do believe, like, I went down the swearing at OpenAI ChatGPT rabbit hole that Jen put me on back in August, September, because August, well, when ChatGPT 5 came out, because, oh my God, like we all talked about it back then. Oh my God, it was bad. It's gotten better, but they also reintroduced all their other models back, or a lot of their legacy models again, because you really do need to know how to switch a little bit beyond the basic use, right? But then again, I created my own prompt framework. I actually took other LLMs and took OpenAI's cookbook, they call it, and how you're supposed to prompt properly for GPT-5, and it was like insanely complex. So I actually had to build a framework that was, I called it Crido plus D, because you had to then add the descriptions and all kinds of weird stuff. Anyways, and eventually better prompts. And then 5.1 came out, not quite as necessary to go as deep as that, but you have to be good at it. So all of these tools, Claude has one, OpenAI has one, but there's ones like, there's a lot of free prompt refiners. Prompt Perfect .ninja.ai is one. It's got a free plan and a paid plan, but the free plan gives you 10 requests a day. So if you're not a power user and you just want a better prompt for something a little bit more complex that you're doing, 10 would be a decent number. Another one called promptrefiner.me. That's the one my team brought to me, and it's free. They literally, the only option is to donate and buy them a coffee. But the one thing it doesn't do is doesn't give you the ability to choose your model, or like what platform you're on. So it's generically refining a prompt to a better prompt for any LLM. maxai.co has a pretty deep prompt refiner, and it's also got a Chrome plugin that's free. So a Chrome extension, so you can refine your prompts in MaxAI. Now, MaxAI is trying to be another, almost like a ChatGPT sort of place, or maybe more like a chat LLM Abacus kind of, more of a all-in-one, but they do have the free prompt refiner. And then, yeah, then there's even, like we talked before about, LLM Arena, and that is so you can pit one tool against the other and get them to battle it out. Well, another guy, another company has shown up on the market called scale.com. They seem to be a very enterprise level AI resource, but they came out with their Showdown. So scale.com/Showdown. They've already taken 17, almost 18 million prompts across 200,000 users, and they've rated, and they rate in real time, the models themselves. They rank them, and right now across all their users, they're finding GPT-5 chat is the best across 200,000 people and 18 million prompts so far. Claude Sonnet 4.5 is second. Claude Opus 4.1 is third, and so on and so on. So there's things out there in our world now, like these tools to help refine a prompt, to see if that works, compare different models, see if that works, all of those kinds of things, because as everybody's battling against each other, for the average user like us, it's getting a little bit more complex to, when we get frustrated, is it our prompt, as we started with, or is it our tool, our model that we're using? So we did always, like say, when you're starting in your AI journey for your business or whatever, pick one, use it like crazy, just go deep, get used to it, then get frustrated because you've now figured it out, then check a different model out. So it's still the right path. Don't start where we're talking about right now and go try everything and get confused and then try nothing and be frustrated. But yeah, go down one of the mainstream ones. I think Copilot is bad enough that you probably should avoid it. Most people, outside of having to use Microsoft, are talking about not using, Copilot. Yeah. But beyond that, your ChatGPT, your Claude, your Perplexity, any of those, Grok, all that stuff, just use it for everything you possibly can. And then when you start getting frustrated with the output, try some refining the prompts. If that gets better, great. If not, take the exact same prompt and try it in another one and see for yourself.
I think the problem comes up though, right, is the models themselves, yes, they're evolving, but then they shifted. Like you mentioned, like the 04 to 5 change, right? In ChatGPT it was such a drastic change that it messed up everybody's workflows, right? Like custom GPTs, just everything. You were used to one thing and they completely moved the cheese, right? On that. And while that's okay for us geeks sitting back here, this is what we do, the normal business owners ain't got time for that, right? So they need something that they can figure out how to use and use it in a way that's going to help them save time or make money, right? Jen, you brought that up. That's what your brother-in-law said, that that's what you need, what he needs, like. And it really comes down to the practical use of these tools, because that's really, at the end of the day, these are tools, right? AI is a tool to help us do things faster, because that's really, in my mind, for entrepreneurship, any small business owner out there, this helps you get more done in a smaller amount of time. A lot of it, right? And so how do you actually do that? Well, if you can, you would, a lot of my clients are, they know how much of an AI geek that I am, right? And so we talk about it. And one of my clients brought up in one of our monthly meetings that, hey, I went to a training thing. They had one at their Chamber of Commerce or something like that. And so she was telling me about what she had done, and I was like, yeah, that's cool, But we, at least us four, are feel like we are so much more advanced than that kind of stuff. We should be teaching those classes, honestly, to our local chamber people and all that kind of thing. But where I'm going at here is we really need them to slow down, right? We love how fast that they're moving, but as small business owners, you ain't got time to keep up with all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
And to stay on top of it. And then when it stops working, to say, well, okay, well, I need to go over this other thing. Like in the past 4 or 5 months, ever since 5 came out, whenever that was, I've moved almost all of my work. Like if you looked at my usage before on ChatGPT to now, it's like I hit it maybe once a week nowadays for something. I'm in Claude almost exclusively because it is 100% trained on me. I'm loving projects. I'm loving skills, right? And building skills inside of it, just like I did with custom GPTs. So, I mean, it's so much more useful as a tool for me because it does a lot more than what ChatGPT did at that time. I haven't gone back to now the new 5.2 has come out, and I haven't gone back to it yet to really even test it. I read an article on TechCrunch this morning talking about how it's so much better than 5.1 and blah, but mainly just for deep research type stuff, right? And critical thinking type stuff, but not so good at all for things like what we use it for, which is content, and social media and marketing, essentially,
While we're talking about this, if it's okay, I'm going to share my screen while we talk, but I just wanted to, if that makes sense, I just wanted to show the some of the insights on the Showdown tool because I just found it recently, right? So this within the past week, but so just as an idea, as we talk, the way they break it down, because they have gone hundreds of thousands of people, right? And prompts and stuff like that. And it's real people, real conversations, real rankings. So overall, this is what we're talking about. Overall, interestingly, ChatGPT is the most popular, with Gemini 3 being the next most popular in just general overview. And then Claude, Sonnet, and then Gemini 2.5 and all the way down. But if you go down to preference for overall, Gemini doesn't show up until the 6th spot, right? The 3 Pro preview. But now you can go by people's age. For example, people over 50. Still ChatGPT, but it changes a little bit. But where I thought was more interesting is under professions or prompt type even. Like prompt type, there's a couple different ones. But if you're brainstorming something, this 200,000 people, the sentiment is Claude, either 4.5 or 4.1 is better than ChatGPT for brainstorming across all the people, right? If obviously we're talking about writing, we knew Claude was going to jump to the top of the list right away because it's just a better writer, and we've all kind of noticed that. But reasoning, so Qwen 3, assuming it's anybody know what platform Qwen is on, but it is apparently the best for reasoning, according to, again, 200,000 people that are that scale.com has working through their tool, their platform in the background. Just open Q&A, ChatGPT 5. They even have one here like chit chat, right? Claude is better than chat. That shocked me. I would have thought more people would just like to have a chat with ChatGPT but Claude 4.5 and 4.1. But then here's the Qwen 3 again. Again, not entirely sure what platform that's on, but apparently pretty powerful. But yeah, you can see the Claudes are showing up, like the haikus and the opuses and stuff like that are beating out most of the other models right now in preference for all of these different types. If you're doing coding, there's your Claude at the top of the list again, Chris, right? So, and things like, so yeah, it's this is fun to watch because it will change. Like Gemini 3 just came out. So Gemini, I like Gemini 3 for coding right now. And I know you like the Claude, but it's not even on the list yet. Gemini 3, it's still 2.5 Flash. And so maybe that's because it's so new. People haven't even really started coding with it yet. So kind of fun to watch what overall, but very specific types of prompts, very specific professions. And then I don't think the continent really matters. Education level, a little bit, if you're a professional versus, college, that kind of thing. Age, probably a little bit handy for people what's better for my age group, maybe. But I really think a tool like this, just to see, come back and check it once every month or two. If you're getting frustrated, come back over to it and take a look and say, hey, I'm getting frustrated with my reasoning tasks. And maybe the deep reasoning coming from Google will jump to the top of the list, in over the next 30 days. If it's that good, we'll find out. So I just thought that was interesting, the way they're categorizing these.
And go back to that screen real quick and just look at all of those models.
no, it's just going and going. Yeah.
Yeah.
To me, that boggles my mind that so many different AI models have come out. And I know that like getting into politics, like the on the government level, they're pushing AI. It's just, I don't know. How can we as small businesses, and really this is how we should be thinking, is how do we make more money using AI, right?
Yeah.
How do we get it to do the things that we need to get it to do? And that should be the questions that every small business owner in America, or the whole world should be asking themselves. How do I use this tool to make more money or save time?
Save time, make money. Yep.
And that's a great question to ask your AI. So it's like, hey, if I want to implement better systems in my company with AI, let's have a conversation. Ask me any questions you need to ask me. Again, put this into a prompt refiner, but take what we're saying here. Of what we do, what are common routines, have that long conversation, sit down with a coffee for 30 minutes or an hour, have that conversation, put it in, and have AI help you organize it to the most impactful with the least amount of effort. That should be number one. And then the next one is maybe not quite as impactful, or maybe a little bit more effort, and just have it scale them. And just, so you're not just going, oh, let me have something that will answer my emails. Yeah. But do you answer 2 emails a day? Is that really going to save you 20 seconds, 30 seconds, 1 minute? What about that thing that saves you 2 hours a month, 3 hours a month, 4 hours a month, going through your credit card receipts to make sure there's nothing in there the company credit card that's fraudulent or whatever? Maybe that would be a better use of your time. What actually takes you time and frustration, and that you would rather not do or rather delegate? Can it be done through AI to save you time? The great, when computers first came out, oh, look, nobody's going to have to work at all because computers are going to do all the work, and then next thing you know, you're busier than ever because you got more to do with computers, and you got to be frustrated with your computers and all that kind of stuff. So AI is going to be the same thing. It's not going to mean that you have more lawn chair or beach time. It means you have more free time to do other income and activities in your company, and your team has more time to do income generating, growth generating activities because you got rid of the mundane that never made you money anyways. You just had to do it off your plate.
So one thing that comes to mind for simplicity and for maybe less than people that are less techie than some of us, for small businesses to be successful with some of this, we've touched on this before, but using your voice instead of your fingers makes a big difference. Now, one thing that I use, I did kind of go all in, it's called Whisperflow. And so it's an AI voice tool, essentially, where you can talk to your computer. It's pretty inexpensive. And so a lot of the LLM models have a built-in microphone and what have you, so you can talk directly in there. But I find this one's really simple because I can go, whether I'm on an email or whether I'm typing in a browser or I'm typing in Teams or in an LLM, as long as I put my browser there and hit the button, it will then take my words and put it in there. And it's really, I think, pretty, it's very accurate. And so that's helpful. But where I was kind of going with this is you don't have to be like John or Jen and just fill it with profanity laced information, right? I for one, you might look at me and think differently, but I don't think I've ever once sweared at an AI tool, right? I just don't see the point.
You got to try it one time, buddy.
I know, you should try it, right?
It's so cathartic.
But think about it. If you just use these tools, because this is where it's headed anyway. is just controlled by your voice, and have a conversation. You don't have to be a prompt master. I'm really looking forward to the list of tools that John mentioned of all the different prompt tools, because those can be really helpful. But I think as this morphs and continues to expand, so much of it is just going to be controlled by our voice. We know that we've talked about this before, but we know we're already controlling our houses and our cars and our cooking and our washing machines and everything else by voice. And as it continues to expand, I know we talked about Gemini 3 being rolled out into your vehicles now through Android Auto and different things. So it's just going to continue to be commonplace and in our daily lives. So I think you might as well kind of get used to talking to it. And me personally, my wife laughs at me. I can type like crazy, right? I've been typing for many, many years, but I do not type correctly, right? I don't have the whole hand thing. I don't even remember what she calls it. I'm sure I learned that in 8th grade, but that was like 45 years ago, right? So I never took what I learned in typing class to heart. So I'm not a very accurate typer. I could get it done, but it's kind of a hunt and peck thing if you think about it. I'm a really not a proficient typer. So I'd much rather talk because I can get my point across. I can talk a lot faster than I can type. And so who knows? It's almost like now, if you think about it, because we're so used to computers, we're so used to typing and using computers, our writing skills with a pen and paper have really diminished. At least mine have, right? So It's almost going to be like our typing skills are probably going to diminish too, because we're going to be just speaking and not typing. And so I'm sure some of us with shoulder issues and everything else are going to be glad when we don't have to use a mouse and a keyboard and all those things. So it's just a matter of time. But, thinking practically for small businesses, just start talking to these tools. Pick your tool and just start talking to it. And if it doesn't give you the answer you want, say, well, that's not what I was looking for. Can you do this? And it's going to work for you.
So, all right, we're talking the models and all that kind of stuff. So let's just do this. Let's round robin. We're going to go around, and you're going to say your favorite tool that you use and why. And when I say tool, I mean like model, right? Since we're talking the AI wars, we're talking about the model race here. What's your favorite model? Let's start with Jen here.
Claude Sonnet 4.5 right now is where I get the best as far as for the things that I do, that I personally do the most. Mm-hmm. That is the model that's working the best for me right now.
Okay.
Nice.
Brad, what about you, Brad?
I like it. I like to have it think for me in a lot of ways. So I typically will use something like GenSpark or Magi, where I can say, use them all. Pick the best fit for what I'm trying to accomplish here, and then give me an answer. And it's crazy to watch because you're watching on the screen, and these little things are just going crazy, right? They're just they're like all these little robots going crazy trying to get you the answer. So I do like Gemini 3 and what have you. I would lean towards that, but I really like the fact that I can have some of these aggregators or whatever you want to call them do some of the heavy lifting for me, and look through it all to try to get me the best answer.
Love it. How about you, John?
Yeah, I'd say for usefulness, I am loving Comet browser, so Perplexity engine in the assistant on the side. Only because I can say, hey, open up a Google Doc, do this, take this research, put it on this tab, put this on this tab. I'll be back to check on you later. And I go do something else entirely, and it works in the background. As far as actual conversations with a model and liking the output, Gemini 3 right now, for sure, like hands down. But I do like what Perplexity built into Comet browser is doing, at least as that first winner in the browser war.
Yeah, 100%. I like it too. What about you, Chris? Yeah.
Well, as y'all know, I've been using Comet now for I would say about a month, maybe a little bit longer, maybe, I don't know, but absolutely loving Comet. I'm not going back to Chrome unless that Gemini 3 becomes an agentic type thing. But even then, so far right now, Perplexity is trained on me and knows me, and Perplexity and I are going back and forth on how it can help me. So I like that. But as far as models go, I would say, Opus 4.5 right now is been my favorite go-to since they released it. It's reasoning with the coding and all that kind of stuff of what I'm doing now is pretty lights out, and, Jen and John, I showed you guys my app that I created for my family initially, and probably whoever wants to use it doesn't matter, but I built it for wish lists and for really family members to be able to build their Christmas, since we're right around the corner from Christmas at this point, kind of a thing. But I really, really, really like Claude right now. That might change, but the cool thing is that my master prompt, as long as the tool has a way to add that master prompt in there, like Gemini does, it has a way for you to do that. ChatGPT does not. It's you can put a mini master prompt in there still. I go back and check it every once in a while, but it's not. They need just add more characters to that.
Yeah, that
field.
context window is really tiny.
Yeah, that context window is just so. I haven't even bothered to see exactly how many characters that it can do, but anyways, it's
so
it's almost...
explain a little bit the master prompt, because we know what it is, but and I've got one for our company. So for the team members, it's like we have one that they can use in different tools and things like that. They can enter where they need, and then I've got one like you do, where it's just me, my life, my business, everything. It's just when I'm talking, it's like, who are you talking to? Hey, by the way, you want to do this, you want to travel here someday, whatever. On a business decision, it's still coming up with a deeper answer, right? So it's as if you have a business advisor that you've met with for the last 2 or 3 years. They know you really well, or a life advisor or whatever, and it knows enough about you that it can pull other things around. And when it's talking to you, it mentions, oh, by the way, Crystal, your project manager, should probably be handling that, or your ops manager, not you, right? Kind of idea. And by name, it's not just, well, do you have somebody on your team? Can you, it's not all, like you're kind of way down the racetrack already in the middle of the conversation as you start. So, but yeah, explain a little bit about that, that idea, I guess, Chris.
Yeah. So, and I don't remember, you shared a video, and I don't remember who exactly that it was. Not great
Tiago.
with remembering names.
Tiago.
Yeah. And he shared this master document that he had created and fed into Claude right at the time. And the outputs of what he was getting was so much better because it knew so much about him, right? And he kept adding to this document, and then of course adding it into Claude. And basically, I mean, you just start somewhere, right? You start writing into a master document everything about you, okay? And everything that you want, and that the model, doesn't matter what AI tool that it is, for it to be able to know about you. So think of it kind of like an executive assistant. An executive assistant is going to know absolutely every tiny little thing that there is to know about you, because that's that person's job. They need to know, like, hey, I want a pizza. I don't know what, that's a horrible example, but order me a pizza. It knows that your favorite pizza place is Double Dave's right down the street, right? And to order you 12, my dad used to call them Rolly Bobs, but pizza pepperoni rolls, right?
Okay.
They're like pepperoni rolls. Anyways, so
A Rolly Bob.
Rolly Bobs, yeah. But the whole idea here is to create this master document. And if I didn't have so much personal information in my master document, I would 100% share it out here on the screen here. But it's got super personal information, like my personal goals. It has my business goals, the quarter rocks that we're working on this quarter, right? And next quarter's rocks. So it knows what I have planned. Okay. It has every single one of my employees in there, what their role is, and their DISC and their Colby scores.
Yeah.
Okay. So it knows exactly what they're good at and not good at. Okay. Let me see what else it has. It has my vision, my VTO from, entrepreneurial operating system for all of my businesses is plugged in there. Okay. It knows, it knows our BHAGs for each of those businesses. It knows where we're going, right? It's the roadmap essentially. Okay. Let me see what else.
Does it know you bought a truck? Did it know about the goal of buying a truck and then now it's off the list? Like,
I didn't put that in the master prompt, but it.
Well, I feel like we could have an entire episode just on the master prompt and like how to use that and stuff, because it's so freaking valuable and effective. But a question that I have is, so do you have the same master prompt in, I know you use it for Claude. Do you also have it in like Gemini?
Yep.
So when you need to update it, do you update it and then, update it everywhere? How does that work?
Yeah. So certain tools are better at this. So I keep it as a Google Doc, essentially, right? It's kept in my special folder in a Google Doc, right? Where I keep not only that, but all my custom GPTs and everything that I've built on that side of things. There's around 30 or 40 of those custom GPTs that I've built, but it's got the master prompt there as well. Okay. So the idea is that I could probably take that. Each Claude has just a text field input area, right, that you can add your prompt into. The special thing about Claude, Gemini, and even Perplexity is that there's no character limit that I found on it, right? There is a character limit inside of ChatGPT for whatever reason. Copilot, it's non-existent. There's not even anywhere.
There's not even a spot to put it.
Right.
Yeah.
There's not even a spot to put it. Right.
Off the table entirely.
But this master prompt, yes, I update it on a monthly basis. Okay. I go and look at it. It's on my calendar every first Saturday of every month. Go look, at your master prompt and update anything that needs to be updated. Okay. On it. Also, just adding in goals, adding in rocks for what each company is working on, what each person is working on in the company is important, because it needs to have that context. And I say AI in general needs to have context about what you're asking it to do, right? So if you ask it, help me with my goals, well, it has to know what those goals are, or are you moving towards those goals or not moving towards those goals, or are you trying to do something that's not on task with your goals? Like for me, I'm a fast start on my Colby. So I shiny object syndrome. That's me. That's always been me. And, I have to work real hard not to do that. But my personal assistant GPT, when I have it check my schedule, right, each morning, it matches that up against my goals and says, well, maybe Rochelle would be better at this task that you have on your calendar versus you doing it, kind of a thing. So it acts as that executive assistant, right? And this is inside of Comet right now, right, for me, because it's trained with that master prompt. So hopefully I'm making myself clear-ish on that.
No, I think that's brilliant. Yeah, because that's think of all those times that we looked back on a day, on a week, on a month, on a year as we get older. Like, I can't believe it's the end of 2025 already. And went, did I spend enough time and aim at the stuff I'd put on my list on January 1st or whenever that was, or last week or last month? Even if you're running entrepreneurial operating system or anything like that, you still, if you have that ability to bounce that off of, like you're doing with your calendar and everything, and keeping everything aligned, I can see the next iteration of you, Chris, is that you build an app that helps you or a tool that helps you update your master prompt once a month, where instead of going in and even reading it, just like, let's have a conversation, go for a hike, have the conversation. When you're done, your master prompt is updated for you. Right. And it's just a conversation once a month with your AI, and then it gets plugged in everywhere. Right. So these things, I think, might be cutting edge right now. 2, 3, 4 years from now or less, it's the way business is done. Something else helps you stay aligned as well, because we all go off in many, many different directions, and, you know, without intention or without the intention of realizing saying yes to all of this in our heads means, you know, you can't say yes to everything. You didn't say, you know, you got to learn better to say no to things to be able to continue the right path. And yeah. Entrepreneurs and business owners are used to just saying yes everywhere. We'll figure it out. And to the detriment of staying on the one true path, I think.
So if we were going to pull this all back to models and like looking at like models and platforms and everything, and kind of the showdown of all of them, is there one of the models that, and I think I know you mentioned the Perplexity with Comet, like what works best with that master prompt? Like which one?
But to me, it depends, right? The answer is going to be it depends. It depends on what you're trying to accomplish, right? Mm-hmm. Like for me, I'm very right now getting into coding with Claude, so I needed to know a lot on that side of things. But yeah, it just really depends on what you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah,
a lot of variables.
There's a lot of variables. Yeah. And I think staying nimble enough that you know what model does better with other things. Like for instance, you know, Sonnet, right, is really good with wait, I always get that mixed up.
Me too.
I was about to say, so Sonnet's the one that's really good with writing, right? So, you know, should you use Sonnet for when you're trying to create writing, you know, tasks? Opus right now is kind of the blend of them all, I think. You know, it's kind of the GPT-5. It's just better than GPT-5 is whatever. You know, but the cool thing is that it tells you in Claude, it tells you what is best at, right? So Sonnet, best for everyday tasks. And I'm looking over here because I'm looking at my screen. Haiku, 4.5, fastest for quick answers. Opus 4.5, most capable for complex work, right? So that to me is kind of what I'm doing right now, but it's going to depend on really who is using it, right? And I like Perplexity right now simply because they've got Comet, right? And I've been heavily using Comet to look at my browsing even, right? And tell me what could I be doing better? How can you help me do my tasks? Because almost everything that I do is inside of a browser. So it makes it a lot easier for it to just kick in and help, and it'll create the shortcuts for me, right? Which is cool. Anyways, so yeah.
I think it'll be really interesting to see as we go into 2026 where it all goes, because we can speculate, we can wonder, but at the end of the day, we really don't know because it's going so fast. So I'm thinking we've put out a lot of good information today. And like Jen said, we could go down a whole nother show on some of the prompting stuff. So maybe we'll talk more about that next week. What do you guys think?
Yeah, and I think on another show, we should probably go down the road of, what can you automate and do with AI? That's anything. What should you? That's separate. Right. And there are frameworks or lenses that you can, put all your tasks against it and stuff like that. So that might be worth a conversation as well. And one final little bookmark, I was looking it up while we're talking. Qwen is apparently Alibaba. One of the largest LLMs in Asia. Did we know that? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So
I have
anyways.
used it before, but it's been.
Oh, have you? Okay, fair enough.
It had been a while, so I was like, "Am I making that? Am I like making it
Yeah.
up? Did I?"
Alibaba has their own. They're their own. So
yeah.
Oh, so speaking of which, let me ask y'all. Right, have y'all ever used at all the Facebook,
No.
the Meta
no,
one?
No.
they have one. No, I think I remember hearing that. Yeah, no.
No.
I think they do, but
Yeah.
But again, going back to that screenshot, there's so many freaking models out there. There's so much AI being thrown at the world right now. Pick one, get better at it. Get good at it. If it changes, be nimble enough to move to another model if you need to. Another tool if you need to. And it starts really with having that master prompt. It starts with creating custom GPTs and or gems, right, inside of Gemini, skills inside of Claude. So, I mean, there's just so many things to keep up with, but just get better at what find one thing, start small, right, and just grow from there.
Good advice.
All right.
Okay, well, I guess that's going to do it for this episode of AI Marketing Experts. Thank y'all for hanging out with us for better part of an hour here. Thanks for subscribing. And if you haven't subscribed, make sure that you hit that subscribe button, hit like, the big gig'em, Aggie gig'em. Thankful for every platform to put that in there. Make sure you just keep coming back. We talk about this stuff on a weekly basis. So, thanks for listening or watching.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
See y'all.